Hello, everybody. Welcome to Everyday Heroes. I am such like this giddy girl, crazy excited to be here with you today. Hello, Jack. If this is your first time joining me, welcome. My name is Shari Alyse, and I am a self-love coach. I am a motivational speaker, and I am also a best-selling author of the book, Love Yourself Happy. And please say hello in the comments. Hi, Jack. I already said that. So Everyday Heroes, why this story? Why this show? I think most of us already know what a hero is. It's the thing that we've already defined it as, our firefighters, our police officers. And even now we're seeing our heroes as frontline workers. We're even seeing our heroes as our essential workers. For the first time, our grocery store workers, our truck drivers. And for me, heroes have always been people who are in service to others. But it's always gone a little bit deeper for me, because hero is something that I think all of us can be. And sometimes it looks like the everyday person, the person who shows up consistently for themselves, the person who, no matter what their circumstances are and what they've been handed, they not only get through it, but they thrive in spite of it all. And so that is how Everyday Heroes came to be. And I am beyond excited for our guest today, because he represents the ultimate comeback story. I'm just going to cheat and say I have known this man for at least, I think it's a decade now, which I'm sure he'll verify for me, because, he's detail oriented like that. But what this true hero does for me, and what he does for the world, is that he shows up with heart, and he shows up with compassion, and he roots for the little guy, which he'll never see anybody else as a little guy. He has the most amazing work ethic and positivity, and he's a kind person, but he's a firm person. And more than anything, he shows up every single day. But I want to share with you less about the personal side at this moment, and just share with you a little bit more about his professional side. Cyrus Webb is a radio and television personality. He is the editor-in-chief of Conversations magazine and Mississippi Success magazine. He is an author, a social media influencer, and a top 500 Amazon.com reviewer. Since 2003, he has built the Conversations brand into an internationally recognized force that not just shares the stories of others, but is making a difference in the way that people see themselves and what is possible. In 2020, he has been busy with upcoming projects, as well as expanding his relationship with Amazon, producing content exclusive to their platform, including, which you guys will hear a little bit later, At Home with Cyrus Webb, a show and an interactive book project that shares how to transform your home from the inside out. He is also preparing for the release of his newest book, How I Know You Can Win, due out the summer of 2020. And I just have one of his other books, Power Your Life with the Positive. You guys, I could just keep talking and talking and talking about this man, but instead I am going to bring up one of the most amazing men that I know, and my dear friend, Mr. Cyrus Webb. Hi, Cyrus.
Hello to you, Shari. How you doing?
How are you today?
I am doing amazing. Thank you so much for this opportunity.
Oh my God, please. Thank you for the opportunity. It's hard to nail you down with all the work that you are doing in the world. So as I told you before we got live on air, I'm just thrilled that I get to trap you for this next amount of time.
Well, look, it is my pleasure to be trapped. So thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Hello, Drew. Hello, Denise. Welcome, you guys. So we're from Kansas. We've got people just hanging out here with us today, Cyrus. I just want to say that the reason why I wanted to share your story more than anything is not only because you are such a good person, but, and I mean that from the heart, but because people right now in the current state of the world, that there is a lot of fear that's happening. There is a lot of people feeling stuck. There are people that are feeling hopeless. And I'm not just talking about the pandemic, which we could talk about in just a second, but really just about, what's currently happening with George Floyd. And it's not just current, it's been happening, as we know, for years. But people are really frustrated and angry. And I know that a lot of us could get stuck in our minds and in our stories. And so your story, having come from where you did to where you are now, just makes any of us believe that any of this is possible. So I just wanted to honor you because we're about to share more about you and how you came from where you are to where you are now. So again, just thank you.
Well, look, I appreciate you, and I totally agree with you, Shari. There are a lot of people who are hurting right now, and anything that any of us can do to be able to give them some encouragement, I'm definitely glad to do it.
Thank you for that. So how are you actually doing during this whole pandemic for the last couple of months?
Yeah, it's been interesting for me, Shari, and I've had to adjust myself, adjust my thinking, and be okay with the fact that I've been okay. I've been like everyone else, trying to make sure I'm taking care of myself, wearing my mask when I go out in public. As you know, I have my parents to think about who are older, so making sure I'm looking after them. But for the most part, I've been using this as a time to keep pushing forward, which is why that's one of the messages I've been trying to share with everyone is that even when we're faced with challenges, the importance of just going forward and knowing that we can make a decision to be better today than we were yesterday, but it all begins with that thought.
I love that. And that's the work that you do every single day and I've noticed because Cyrus does daily videos. He's always putting these positive messages out. And in your one overriding theme, well, you have several, but the one is, to just keep showing up and to, not let the darkness or whatever else is happening around you to deter you from your greatness and from who you are. And I don't think that you've always, or I don't know that you've always felt that way. And that is what is so powerful about your story. I have this quote here that you just said recently. You said the important thing to do is to do something. Maybe you can't do everything you want, but don't let this time go by without making at least a move towards something you want to achieve. Has that always been that way for you?
No. But it's a funny thing though for me, Shari, because my situation is unique, and I've had to even grapple with that. The fact that my situation is unique and being okay with that I'm not like everybody else, and that what is happening to me and has happened to me is not something that has happened to everyone else either. And so for me, growing up, I was always told that great things could happen. I was always told that, but I didn't believe it because I allowed what I saw as what was supposed to be life, was supposed to be good, what was supposed to be, quote unquote, right, to kind of dictate that for myself. I think when I started to realize that everyone is different and that's the power that we have, when I embraced that, that's when I started to believe it for myself, and that's when I started to being able to share it.
So, but let's go back. I want to. The reason why that I think that this is so important to share your story is because we've all heard the success story, Cyrus's. There's multiple of you. We've all heard the success.
People believe that,
I've already said to you before that I know you're cloned. There's no way one human could do as much as you can do.
Right.
But we always hear about, where someone has gone from and then where they are now.
Yeah.
And we hear the highlights of it, but we never really get to hear how they got through it and the digging and the climbing. And it's always like the overnight success. And as a friend and someone who's had the honor of watching you grow and be part of that growth with you, I know that it hasn't been overnight for you. So why don't you take us back to that time in your life where you were told that there was greatness inside of you, and what your beliefs were, and just bring us back to then and what happened around that time.
Sure. And I thank you for that. And you're totally right. I have tried to, what has happened for me, and you know this, Shari, because you've seen the journey too, the journey even inside of myself, because for the past 2 years, I have now wrestled with the fact that, and people have said to me over the years, Conversations is turning 17 this July. And people have said to me, joking, yet not joking, that I've hidden behind Conversations. And I didn't think that was true. And then I realized, okay, I didn't want it to be true. because I realized if they were reminded of the fact that I first tried to kill myself when I was 11 years old, and not because of abuse, not because of, being bullied, but because I didn't see something special within me. And I was afraid of letting other people down who saw it in me. And so I think being raised in, with a family of faith, a grandmother who really took me under her wing, and, a mother who was supportive, even though they didn't understand what the things I did. I was a kid who was okay. So I guess maybe that's why the quarantine hasn't been bad for me, Shari, because I loved being inside. My friends, that my punishment would be, you have to go outside. And I would,
You're like, I'm good. I'm good.
I would much rather be in my room with my books, but
You're a self-proclaimed geek. Don't you always say that?
there were people out there. I mean, I wanted to just be in there with with the books, but greatness was something that I always believed, just not for me. And it's because I didn't see myself as being the type that would have it. I grew up, people know, very humble beginnings, a working family. And I looked at myself. I've had four eyes longer than I think I've ever had two. I've been a person who always saw what I saw as my flaws, which now I've been able to lean into as part of my strength. And I just thought people were being nice. Teachers liked me, kids not so much, because the teachers liked me.
Right. Yeah.
And in the neighborhood, I would hear parents say, "Why can't you be more like Cyrus?" And I would think, that's not going to make people like me, And so, I think that was the beginning of it for me. And I think it's interesting when people hear this, he attempted suicide. I think a lot of times they normally think something negative. And the most dangerous negative was the truth. And that was the negativity I felt about me. And I think it's true today, Shari, for a lot of people, the most dangerous thing for them is the negativity they feel about themselves.
Absolutely. And I think that's what's such an important thing that you said. Well, first of all, is the fact that people believed in you, which is rare, because you often hear that the people around them were negative towards them. They didn't believe in them.
Right.
But here you were with a supportive family, people who actually saw your own greatness, who weren't able to see that for yourself. So was there pressure? Did you feel the pressure from that?
Well, my name, I don't know if you and I have ever talked about this. The name Cyrus means the shining one.
No pressure at all.
But, it's a family name. I'm the fourth. I grew up thinking I was the fourth Cyrus. Then I started going to the cemetery. It's like, where all these other Cyruses come from? There's a long line of Cyrus Webbs out there. But I would look at that and think, people would tell me, you're going to be great. You're going to be able to do great things. And I thought, oh my goodness, really?
Great. You still do that though.
Yeah. I mean, but it just really, I was like, why are you saying that? Because it was never, that's the funny thing about this whole journey for me, Shari. I never wanted to be great. That was never a thing for me. And so I'm like, why would you say, I'm just trying to be me? And even today at 44, I say the same, I'm just doing me, but I realized that they saw something and they wanted to encourage it. And I have grown up, and even into my adulthood, at times trying to hamper it. And I think, even though I quote the scriptures about letting your light shine, I haven't always done that. I haven't always tried to be the shining light on the hill. And I think because of that, I was conflicted for myself, but I also made people think, okay, is he just trying to make us think he doesn't really believe in himself? Is he trying to feign this humility that he has because he knows he's doing great, And so I've wrestled with that throughout the years. But I think the pressure really was on me. They would not say that they were pressuring me. And looking back at it, I wouldn't say they were pressuring me to do anything but be the best that they knew I could be.
Well, and that's what's so interesting is that we often hear what our own beliefs are, and so they could mean something completely different, and we take it on in our own way. And so this idea of having to be great or what everybody expected you to be, I guess I want to find out, like, where were you in your head at that time where, and I'm not trying to dig into suicide in itself, but I know that there are a lot of people right now who don't feel hope, Cyrus, who feel that taking their life is the way out right now from this pain. And so I kind of just want to sit in that space for a minute and where you were as far as your mindset at that time, where you thought that suicide would be a better option.
Yeah. That's been the thing. And when I first started telling my family about this, when I started writing poetry, they didn't know. They honestly had no clue of what internally I was feeling, because now that conversations are such a big part of what I do, I was not a conversationalist like that growing up. I wasn't. I did well in school, but I think I did well as far as I wasn't trying to be the number one student. I wasn't trying to be valedictorian. I didn't have those goals or aspirations for myself, and I didn't put that pressure on me. But really where the suicide thoughts came in was, you know what? I don't want to disappoint. It's always been about it. I didn't want to disappoint. And in my mind, I reasoned, and I've talked to other people, Shari, who felt the same way. I reasoned that if I wasn't here, I couldn't disappoint. Do you see the greatness? But if I don't achieve that, I don't want you to be disappointed in me.
Wow.
And so I really reasoned, and that was my rationale, that if I wasn't in the picture, I wouldn't be that. Never occurred to me all that would happen, how they would feel about my taking my life, how they would feel about thinking that they had contributed to that.
Right.
So I think that's where it was for me. It's an interesting facet of selfishness, really. Instead of my talking to them about, you know what, I don't really see myself that way, or I felt like, you know what, I just don't need to be here.
Right.
And,
well, you're also young. I mean, you're young too. I mean, you don't have the words and the mindset to be able to know that. You just know that you did. I mean, truthfully, I thought it sounds more selfless than anything, because you just didn't want to disappoint them. You didn't want anyone to be upset,
Right.
And so it's a challenging space to be in, and it breaks my heart. But you said that this happened multiple times.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, the first time was really the worst. I got more sophisticated as I got older. I first tried to slip my wrist. That was the first time. And
at 11.
Yeah. How my family rationalized that was because I ended up telling them it was an accident. And I think because you have to think, we're talking 86, 87, who wanted to talk about suicide at 86, in 1986, 1987, especially with your own family. And so I think for them, it was like, okay, well, maybe. The next time I tried, it was pills. And in fact, the third time when I was 20, it was pills too. And so I thought, you know what? Okay, the cutting, that hurt. I don't think I want to do it that way. I don't think that's going to be the way. I not even thought about other things. Well, what about bleach? Bleach is, I start reading the bottle. Well, okay, well, maybe, but then how much would I have to drink? And I don't consider that one of the times, but I actually went through an experiment, Shari. I don't think I've ever told the story, where I took bleach and mixed it with water to try to see if I could drink it. And it all sounds crazy, but that again is where I was in my mind. And again, thinking looking back at it, I can laugh about it, of course, but that's why I think my empathy comes from. When you hear some stories that seem so crazy, they don't seem so crazy to me, because I think about what I was doing at 10, 11, 13, 17, and then 20, where my mind was. It's like, no, that's not that's not something that we should take lightly. And I think that's why I push my platform the way I do, to make sure people know that, hey, there are people here that understand.
And I haven't even gotten into really all that you do. I mean, you guys, Cyrus has gone from, and this is one of the things that I love about you, is that, and it sounds like you were this way as a child, that you just wanted to be you. You didn't see any of the greatness. You weren't trying to be number one at anything. You just enjoyed school, or you just enjoyed books. And you just enjoyed conversations with people, which is how you began your radio show. I mean, you guys, Cyrus has become part of, the Oprah Winfrey Network Digital. He's interviewed Tyler Perry's cast, Oprah's cast. I mean, he's done red carpets for the Grammys and the Oscars. I mean, you've begun your own, built an empire with your media brand. You've interviewed over like 10,000 people. You're now partnering with Amazon. And the only reason why I'm saying all of this is because the one thing that you say to everybody, and you say it all the time, you say, I am not special.
Yeah.
And the reason why you share your messages is because you want everybody to know that this is possible for them.
Right.
And that's what I want to focus on, is because how did you go from saying, I don't want to disappoint somebody, to then being able to build this? Where was that switch for you? How did you come out from that?
I realized the selfishness. When I was 20, lying in the hospital after the last suicide attempt, I heard God speak to me very clearly and reprimanding me for, I could hear, how dare you try to take what you can't give. And that resonated with me in such a way that it took that for me to think about what I was doing. And I had never thought of, I've read the Bible all my life, thought about God parting the Red Sea and feeding people with food from heaven. So what would make me think he could make me be the best I could be? And I never thought about it before I was 20 like that before. That changed the whole way I looked at it, because it was almost saying that, yeah, I read, but I don't really believe that. I don't personally believe it. And I started to personally believe it at 20. And that's really what changed it for me. It's like, okay, I can't just say, but Shari, you said something and I got a little emotional on that. And when you said it, because
no, I just smiled all big, like,
I have said, and I've been reprimanded for this too recently, and I want to say something about it because you just brought it up. I do say all the time that I'm not special, and I still don't believe I'm special in the sense of what I've done is so extraordinary that other people can't do great things. Where I now realize I was wrong is that when I say that, and someone emailed me, in the past week, and said, you need to stop saying that, because everyone is not going to be doing the things that you're doing, no matter how hard they work, what school they go to. And you know what? I never, again, it was one of those moments that I said, I didn't want to think that was true. But it's funny when people ask me, well, how did you get to doing it? It seems kind of funny to me that they would even ask. I'm like, well, I just did it. So it never occurred to me, the person who did go to broadcasting school when I never set foot in college, the person who has tried to work hard to build something with a company, and I just seemed to do it. It never dawned on me that there was something different. So I want to adjust what I normally say. I want to say that I'm not special. However, all of us have something in us that God can use. And maybe it's not going to be what everyone else is doing. Maybe it's not going to be on the scale that everyone else is doing it. But you can do it to the best of your abilities, and that's something that he can bless.
I love you. Because I literally wrote in my notes about I'm not special because I wanted to disagree with that. So I went ahead. So I got nothing else, Cyrus.
Well, someone called me, and it's someone that I, like you and my other friends, I really respect. And they said, you need to stop that. And I didn't think it, I really believed it. When I say that, I'm not just saying it to say it. I truly believed that I'm not, because I don't see myself, even now, I don't see myself as being special. But I do realize that there are different levels. And if, not to keep getting biblical, but there's a great example that Jesus gave about the talents. How one person got 3 talents, one person got 2 talents, one person got 1 talent. And they all were rewarded. The one who got 3 was rewarded. The one who got 2 was rewarded. The one who got 1 said, well, you know what? I only have this one. I'm just going to go and bury it and give it back to you. Here's the one you gave me, instead of trying to do something with it. And that's now what I was like, okay, God, I get it. I get it. We all have an ability. It's just up to us how we use that ability. Now, I have chosen to use my ability the best I can, and it's led me in these places, Shari, that you and I've talked about. If you had told me at 20, that you would be doing a radio show and doing TV and travel, I would have laughed at you. It's like, okay, yeah, okay, that's not going to happen. But thank you so much for thinking that. I mean, I just, this life is so unimaginable even for me. And I think that's where the gratitude comes from in living it every day.
I have so many things to say to all of that, but I know that there are people watching right now, and they might be thinking, Cyrus, like, but how?
Yeah.
How? Like, if I am in this place right here and right now, like where you were, and they get a message and that they know that there's more for them, how do they get from here to here? I know that you attribute your success or your life, your journey, to one thing. And why don't you share with everybody what you believe that one thing is?
For one thing, let me say this, to what you just said. I think it's the ability just to start. I really think that's it. I mean, I understand, especially now, that people look at where they are. My grandmother is someone who I look at this past week, actually made 6 years since I lost her. And I think about every day that the last conversation she had with me was how proud she was of me the day before she died. And she wasn't proud of the stuff or what people look at, but just proud of what I grew into. Mm. And I say to people that growth begins today. We all, we could very easily say, okay, I lost my job, and be the focus. But instead of saying, okay, what am I going to do today? I know for myself, when I've fallen down, my instinct is just to get back up. And that's just the way I am. I may assess and say, okay, how did that happen? Because I am clumsy. And I may remove an obstacle that may have caused it. But I just choose to keep moving forward. And I think that's been the big things for me, Shari, is that I don't, and then too, I have to say this too, I don't set a grandiose goal. I think the other thing where we kind of disappoint ourselves is that we say, I want to be on the Oprah Winfrey Show. And if we only have our own platform that affects people each and every day, we still don't think that we've done anything because we're not on the Oprah Winfrey Show. Right. For me, if I reach one person and I say to that one person, you can do this, and they go and believe that, that's success. That is success.
I just want to say on a personal note that one of the reasons why I wanted you on this show is because I've already said that you see the greatness in people, but no matter what we're doing, and you've done that for me personally, because you know that I have gotten down on like, well, I'm not here and I want to be there. And no matter what I do, you have always lifted and built me up and seen the greatness in me, even at times when I was down on myself. And it's such a beautiful gift that you give, not only just others and everyone, but myself. And I just wanted to side note, thank you for that.
That's success. Honestly, for me, that is success, Shari. I mean, I think about the fact that, and to go back to what you said earlier, and I have to be careful about something else too. Not everyone is waking up to a good day. I woke up to a good day today. There are people in Minneapolis did not wake up to a good day.
Right.
There are people in New York that are still trying to figure things out, after losing loved ones, to seeing, their city change forever. And I have to remember that that's the gift that I have. I have a gift of being able to wake up and say, you know what? Yesterday was yesterday. Today is going to be a new day. Everyone doesn't embrace that gift like that because of what they're dealing with. And so that's again where my appreciation comes from in that, and realizing, you know what? I want to encourage you, but I'm not in any way saying I know what you're going through. I'm not in any way saying that what you're feeling, oh, just move on. Just go. But what I don't want people to do, Shari, is, and you use a word I love, and I don't want them to get lost in the darkness. Because when they do that, they become no better than anything that they're going through or anything that they're railing against. And I think that is something all of us have to be careful about, which is why I get really concerned when I see people with a platform, which is all of us these days. Anyone with a phone has a platform. And you're using that in a way that is destructive and not, constructive. I think because I'm so self-aware of that, if I say something, the impact and influence of those words, I think everyone needs to be more careful with that, because if we do that, then we can do better in helping people who aren't having a good day.
That's so powerful, and thank you for that. And what I'm hearing you say, though, is that because a lot of people think that positive people and people that are optimistic and have this great outlook either are in denial or they're not paying attention to the way that the rest of the world and what's happening in it. And what I'm hearing you say is that you see it, you know it, you feel it, but you're still choosing to focus on something else. And my previous guest here on Everyday Heroes had talked about mindset. And that being what led them down this road. And it's sounding like that your mindset is what has led you from that darker place to where you are now.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I look at my life, and a lot of people don't know my backstory, and I don't know if you even do. I lost my father before I was 6 years old. My father was murdered. And dealing with that, and dealing with alcoholism in my family, dealing with, situations that could have made me choose something different. But I never tried to say, well, because this person did this, that means that's who I'm going to be. And I think about, I've always known there was a choice. Even when I was thinking about taking my life, even when I was attempting, that was a choice I was making. And that's why I realized, and that's, you'll notice in my morning messages, I'll say a lot of times, choose to do whatever, choose to, because everything we do is based on a choice. And yes, I hear in my heart, I see things. I choose not, like when people share videos and pictures and things, I choose not to get involved in that. You're not going to ever see me share a photo or a video that I think could be traumatic, because I think a lot of times people don't think about, you don't know what someone else is going through. So to share something that could be triggering to someone else, the impact that could have, but also to incite them to emotions that maybe they have a problem with. Right. I mean, those are all choices. And I have conversations with people sometimes. Sometimes I choose just to listen. You know what? I'm not going to talk about this with you. You can, I understand what you're feeling, but I'm going to choose not to get involved in what you're talking about. I do that. My mom will tell you, I will hang up on my mom because I don't like gossip. Gossip is one of those things it really irritates me, because I feel like if you have something to say to someone, you should say it to that person. And talking about situations that probably you don't know all the facts. My mom was telling a friend recently, said, Cyrus, I hang up on you. He hangs up on me all the time. Because I'll give you a warning. And if you keep pursuing that, I choose to end the conversation. and I think that's the thing, Shari. All of us these days, we have that choice, right? I mean, and for my path, there's no way I can get up every day and do the things I know I need to do if I'm choosing to get weighed down with stuff, for one, that I can't personally do anything about, but two, that I'm telling other people is something that, they should be focused on instead of what they can do today in their own lives.
Well, and I think this choice is so powerful, because I think any of us can focus on all the things that, are going wrong or in the world or with us and what we don't have. But like you said, it's the power of it. And so where are we going to turn our gaze to? And it sounds like for you that that it's just turning to God, it's turning to, you know, your own personal beliefs, that which is going to lift you up. Someone commented here in the comments saying, you know, that they're totally lost in the dark. I'm just, do you have any advice? What would you say? Because you obviously were too.
Yeah.
But you turned that. Do you have any, I don't know if it's strategies or tips or anything for mindset that can help somebody that is in this place right now, that is stuck and, you know, no one will ever be you because you're special in your own way, but, you know, to work their way from that.
I recently, I'm notorious almost, Shari, for sharing either Matrix or X-Men references. But today I'm turning to the Great Wizard of Oz and Glinda the Good Witch. Because for me, it began with realizing the light within myself. And if we turn on the light within ourselves, we'll never be in darkness. The light can get brighter as we then move forward because we're either amplifying it or surrounding ourselves with light. So 3 things really quickly I would say is, one thing, what do you really believe that you're meant to do? I think that's the first thing. Because once I realize, okay, I am here for a reason. And then the second thing is, what am I going to do about it? And I think it's not about something grand. Again, I never saw myself here 17 years ago. This is not, I just was walking in what I knew I felt like I was supposed to do, and it led me here. And the third thing is, what are you feeding yourself to go to that number 1? Because I have found for myself, which is why I don't listen to a lot of talk radio. I don't read a lot of the gossips, entertainment sites out there. I don't allow myself to get involved in conversations that are negative and nasty and about this person or how bad life is and how bad the world is and how, you know, I don't get in that. I surround myself with things that feed my number 1, and that is what I'm meant to do, which means, like you said, Shari, acknowledging what's out there, but knowing what I need to have for myself to feel it. Because if I don't have what I need, I'll stay in the dark. And that's the thing. And I think once we're able to turn that light switch on for ourselves and realize, okay, I am here for something. And it's not what I'm currently going through. It's for what I can become and show other people what they can do too.
And I got the chills. And you do an amazing job, like I said, at reflecting other people to them. And I love this idea of feeding, of what you're feeding yourself. Because that's what I think so many of us, it's so obvious today on social media when you look at people's, you know, feeds, whether it's on Facebook or Instagram, what they're feeding themselves, and then seeing their mindset and seeing their anger or their frustration or sadness. And it's like, well, what are you choosing to feed yourself? So I think that's such a powerful tip that you just shared.
Yeah. If I could say one thing to that, Shari, and I probably will get in trouble for this, but this is truly what I believe. I think going back to that personal power, again, going back to posts, and look, I'm not trying to tell anyone what they should or should not share. But again, for myself, I can honestly say, since going back to MySpace, if there is something that I think is dangerous, deadly, disgusting, I am not going to share that and say, I can't believe that this is out there. Because for one thing, if I think it's so bad, why am I sharing it? Mm-hmm. And then we can't be surprised then when people see it, and then in the comments it's reflected the very thing that we say that we can't believe is out there. And I think, again, it goes back to owning that personal power. It's not ignoring what's out there, but it's realizing the power and the triggers. Because, again, we don't know how many people have a violent past on our timeline. We don't know how many people have seen abuse, and how images and how video can trigger things for them that psychologically they can't handle. Now, myself, I just choose not, because I know if I let that just be my thing, I'm not going to be any good to anyone else, because I'm not going to mentally be able to do anything that I know I'm supposed to be doing. Now, I will use my platform, as I've done in the past week, to really talk about acknowledging we're in a dark time. Yes, there are bad things happening, but we have to choose to rise above it. And we can't be a part of the problem. We have to choose to be the answer to the problem and let that be how we live our lives, because otherwise we'll continue to slip backwards instead of going forward.
I'm just going to leave that there because it's powerful in itself. Are you still afraid right now of
I'm afraid of a lot of things right now, Shari, but go ahead.
You're afraid of this question, aren't you? No, you know, in my own platform, that I think that it is so important for people to share truths, that no matter how successful you are, that people know the truths of the. I know that you come from this fear of, as a child, of greatness. Now you're achieving this greatness. And I wonder if those same fears still show up for you. And if so,
Every day. And it is, and I've said to, those closest in my circle, as early as today, because I know what's coming, and I can't always share everything, but I know what's coming, and I know where I am. And I have moments that I just cry because, well, there's a few reasons why I cry. One reason is I wish my grandmother was here to see it. And that in itself means so much to me because she had such a belief in me. And knowing that she was proud of me means a lot. But she only saw a glimpse of what's happened in the past 6 years. Shari, honestly, the past 6 months have brought things to my life that I would never have even. This is not the 2020 I planned for myself, and not even because of the pandemic, because so many things have come my way that are taking me in a direction that's very uncomfortable. And it's made me face exactly what you said, the truth. I was using conversations as a shield. That was my crutch, so that I wouldn't have to talk about Cyrus. And it took what's happened this year to make me give the crutch up. It doesn't mean I'm not leaving conversations, but it's embracing the fact, because when people would give me a compliment, I said, well, that's conversations. But it's not conversations. It's Cyrus. And it's what's been given to Cyrus. And that's very difficult. And it's very scary for me, because I'm not a look at me type. I have to do that anyway because I'm short, but
you stop.
But, I'm not that in a professional sense, because I've never felt like I should do that. I've always been the work speaks for itself. Well, now I'm having to embrace being literally out front and center. And it's a very scary thing because it's not what my intent was. Now, the funny thing to that is it fits the purpose, though. It fits my purpose. But it's a part of my purpose that I've wrestled against. A lot of people don't know this, Shari. Conversations was originally called in Jackson Conversations with Cyrus Webb. I took Cyrus Webb off because I didn't want Cyrus Webb to be the focus. And they just encompassed conversations, and it became Conversations Live. But Cyrus Webb was always supposed to be a part of the Cyrus. Even the magazine, people don't realize this. The magazine initially was Conversations with Cyrus Webb magazine. That was the magazine that I began 14 years ago. And I took off with Cyrus Webb because I did not want to be that guy. And yeah, so that is the biggest fear. I don't fear failure. To me, failure is the easy thing, because that's where I'm learning, and that's where I'm able to say, okay, well, that didn't work. So let me try it this way. I get excited about things that other people look at as a misstep. So yeah, I'm living the fear, but today I can embrace it.
Cyrus, it's been so exciting to watch your journey, because as someone, as you know, I share it all, right? I've never been afraid of that.
Mm-hmm.
Similar fear to you, but I've watched you over the years and I've always thought, man, I want to know more about Cyrus. You're so good at, digging into other people. And so to watch you literally embrace more of you and opening yourself up and letting us see your light has been so inspiring and powerful. And, you guys, we have this running joke, Cyrus and I, that I compliment him and he won't take it and he turns it back on me and we're both like, okay, all right,
Yeah.
and to watch, and I say that because to watch you recognize where you've come from and that you do have a purpose and that you do have a gift and that your story is powerful, even saying yes to this. And before we got on camera, I said, is there anything that we cannot talk about? And you said no.
Yeah.
That, for me and for others, should just see, the journey that you've taken, which I always say is back to yourself.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's, I tell people two things all the time. One, timing is everything. And I really do believe there's a purpose in everything. The work, though, is finding the purpose and in learning from it as we move forward. And I've always tried to do that, Shari. That has been, again, a great lesson from my grandmother. Someone who lived through 20 presidents,
Wow.
who knew what it was like to get spit on walking to school, to go from picking cotton on land to owning the property she picked cotton on. I saw trouble becoming triumph. And it never was something that was really talked about because she didn't like to talk about herself either. And she allowed me to interview her before she died one time. And so, it's interesting. I never thought my life was, I tell people that my life's not that interesting. But I say that, again, not with any false modesty. It's just because I realize, there are a lot of people who've had it a lot worse than I've had it. There are a lot of people who are going through a lot worse right now. And I never want to make them think, oh, well, you know what? I mean, you can snap out of it. The whole moonstruck line, right? Just, snap out of this. It's, we have to acknowledge, I definitely love acknowledging how I got here because that's where my appreciation comes from for where I am today. Scary still, but it makes me want to keep moving through the fear because I know what's ahead.
And I'm really grateful that you shared that, about still having the fears, because it's so important that everybody knows that it's not just something that just goes away. We're always navigating in this journey. We're always still facing our fears and our self-doubts and all of that. But it's just, and why I think Everyday Heroes, why this is so important, is because you just keep showing up anyway. You show up no matter how hard it is, no matter how challenging the road is, no matter how scary and uncomfortable it is. And that is what you are a shining example of, because no matter what has come your way and no matter how scary it's been, you just keep showing up and you've done it with your own path. When you interviewed me recently here in LA, and what I love is that you don't try to be like everybody else. We talked about this with all like the best equipment and the video and then all of this. And I tried to give Cyrus some advice. I think I tried to say something and he goes, Shari, I got this. What I'm doing right now is working for me. That's about paving your own path, and that's about believing in yourself. And that's what your story is. It's about not believing in yourself, even though everybody was telling you to now being able to own yourself and your truth and your path. And I think that's the message that everybody can take away from this.
Right. Sure. If I can say one thing about you, you're right. I'm notorious for turning compliments back around. But I want to say this about you. And I remember the exchange you and I had. But the thing I love about Shari is that Shari wants the best for everyone, like I do. And I knew when you were talking to me, I knew what you saw in me. But I also know me being not, and even the whole moniker, Shari, you'll be so proud of me. I'm going to stop using the country boy from Mississippi thing.
I got too.
I get talked about that too. But I love that you you see the greatness in other people, and that's what you want to bring out of them. And I think everyone needs a Shari Alyse in their life. Because no, and I mean that sincerely, because everyone needs someone who's going to call them on their stuff, but also push them and let them know what is possible. And I love the fact that you use your platform to root for others. And that's what we all need. All of us need. And I try to do it for all of my friends. I'm always, sometimes if I haven't heard from someone, I'll just send them a text message. Say, hey, thinking about you, keep your head up. Because you never know what people are going through. You and I have the luxury, and we take for granted, I'll just use that everyone can do what we're doing right now. And not everyone will do this. Not everyone will get on camera and own their imperfections and own what they're dealing with. You and I are in a place where we're able to do that, which is why I think we have to be so responsible when we do it. But I think there are people who need to know, though, who just watch us, to know that, you know what, you can do whatever it is that you want to do too.
And that is one of your overriding messages. And I just want to tie this all together, because what came to me this morning as I was thinking about talking to you, I thought about, because I knew obviously your story, and what your fear was about everybody else believing that you were great and you not being able to live up to it. And
Right.
what a full circle moment that what scared you the most is now what you offer everybody. And that in itself is that you see the greatness in everybody. And I don't think that if you didn't go through this journey to where you are now, that you would be able to have offered that same thing. And so while it's been challenging, and while I'm sorry, and a sorry, I hate that works, people, but whatever, that you had to go through this. I mean, as you know, and you wouldn't be who you are and be able to offer what you offer to the world if somebody else didn't tell you that they saw your greatness.
Yeah, you're so right. And I think I listen to sometimes conversations, which is why I love doing conversations, because I learn so much about life. I learn so much about myself sometimes in listening to other people. And I want to say, if you don't mind, Shari, to add to what you just said, I'm so glad. And there are people who have a lot of confidence. I mean, a lot of confidence, and they have very big belief systems. And I think, look, I'm not that guy. That's not who I am by nature. So I think that's great that people can believe in themselves. But I also think there's a danger on the other side of that, I want to say, because I think that, yes, I've gone into this, but the irony is I became exactly who everyone saw in me. That's the irony of the whole situation, that it took my almost, because I was saying, to my best friend today, I was like, you know what, if I had been successful, I wouldn't even know you. Mm-hmm. I think about 24 years ago, the Cyrus that I was then and who I am today, the things that have happened, none of those things would have happened. I never would have met you. I never would have known Facebook.
I know.
Where would I have been without Facebook?
What would you do without me? What are you talking about?
Right. But it's such a, I think, but then it goes back to that appreciation. I wake up and the first thing I think is, I woke up. That's honestly the first thing I now think about. Now, what am I going to do? I woke up. That's the first gift. And then from there, it's up to me.
Cyrus, you just said something, and then I'm going to go to our final question to wrap this up. But you just literally said that you became the greatness that everybody saw in you. And I just want to say, because this is my belief, you always have been the greatness. You finally saw it in yourself.
Yeah, that's right.
And that's what I want to leave everybody here today with, that it does not matter what circumstance you're in and what you're facing. It doesn't mean that it's easy, but that you have it in you, just the way Cyrus had it within him. And all he had to do was turn within and see it. And maybe it was the message from God, or maybe it's the message from a best friend or from anybody. Whatever that is, there is that light, as Cyrus said, that can light up any darkness. And it's just up to you to, how are you going to put a spotlight on it? As Cyrus said, are you going to feed it? Are you going to recognize it? Are you going to take action from it? Cyrus is a success story. He is a comeback story. He is special, but so are all of us.
Yeah.
And our own journeys are for us to uncover and discover. And I hope that everyone here today is so inspired, like I am every day, by you. And I hope that you all will follow Cyrus. I'm going to put his website up here on the screen for you. But Cyrus, tell everybody what you're up to right now beyond 1,000 things in a day. I even got an hour from you. I'm like so thrilled.
Well, thank you again for this platform and what you're doing with Everyday Heroes, Shari. We need to know that they're out there. As I was thinking, when you first invited me and you told me the name of the show, the song that went through my head is the new Alicia Keys song, Good Job. We're celebrating the everyday people who are getting up and just going through and making a difference. I think that's the thing for me. Right now, this is a scary time. Go back to being scared. I mean, I'm about to embark on a very busy next 8 weeks. The work I'm doing with Amazon is going to be exploding starting next week, where we're launching costunder100.com next Monday, which is my new platform with Amazon, showing you how to get things for yourself and others for under $100. It's going to be a very interactive thing that I'm doing, very different than what I'm done with conversations where I have a guest. Now it's just me talking to you and sharing and actually being able to let you see things. I also have the men's issue of the magazine, another first for us, an interactive issue where we're showing you, because now I do dress a lot better thanks to Amazon.
You guys should see him sporting his clothing.
So we'll be taking you guys into some great brands and some very affordable things that they have. And then the biggie for this summer is At Home with Cyrus Webb, my new show through Amazon. That's going to be so exciting to take you guys into my home, a total renovation that we've been able to do, including the room that I'm in now, which is my office, the artwork, the setup for this conversation, taking you guys behind the scenes, letting you know how you can be able to add these all to your home and to your edition. Great gifts. So it's going to be a busy time, but cyruswebb.com, Shari, will keep them posted on everything. But it's very scary, again, because I'm so used to introducing a guest. I'm so used to being able to ask a question, but now it's me stepping into my role as an authority and to be able to embrace that and to share that with everyone else.
So excited for what's up and coming for you, for everything that you've done. The world needs more Cyruses, both professionally and personally. I couldn't be where I am today without your constant encouragement and support, and a mirror for me of what I can do and what is possible. And I mean that with all my heart. I didn't say this, but Cyrus has recognized me in his magazines, and not because we're friends, which I always felt like, but Cyrus he's just the real deal. And if you're going to follow anybody, if you're going to support anybody, you support people who don't have big names. You've done that since the beginning, the everyday person. And that's why you are my everyday hero.
Thank you.
One final question, because I like to ask all my guests this and all my future guests. If you were given a microphone and the entire world can hear you in 30 seconds, what message would you want to share with them?
The message I have to share is this. You were born to be a light. So do everything you can today to let your light shine.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for being here today with us, for shining your light so big for all of us. Continued success to you.
Same to you. Thank you again.
Thank you. And thank you, everybody, for joining us today. I love all of your engagement, and I just hope that you go out there and remember your greatness. Step into it. I'll see y'all. Don't forget to connect with me at ShariAlyse.com and join me on Mondays and Thursdays for Story Time with Shari. I'll talk to you all soon. Bye, everyone. Thank you again, Cyrus.
All right, thank you.